Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for Thrive in 2025. It's a free business planning workshop that we're doing live inside of the Pivot Shift Ahead Facebook group. Also, here for those of you joining us on the live stream and StreamYard as well. It's your friend James Shaw, and I thank you so much for taking some time out of your afternoon to join us as you prepare for 2025. Hey, put in the chat, what do you hope to get out of today? Will you let me know? We're going to spend, 90-ish minutes together to help set you up to succeed in what might be an absolutely wild market. So please tell me in the chat what you hope to get out of today, because I want to make sure we deliver it to you, and I honor you for choosing to spend some time with us. My name's James Shaw, and I know most of you from either teaching in your market center, being in a bold room with you, being part of the Pivot Shift Ahead Facebook community. I don't know where all we've met, but I thank you for being here. We have been together inside of Pivot Shift Ahead on Facebook since the start of the pandemic, March 16 of 2020. And we have learned so many lessons over that time. I've been at Keller Williams now 20 years. I'm honored and excited to be part of their KW International Master Faculty. I served 8.5 years as a team leader. I was on one of the top producing teams in all the company. I got to be coached directly by Gary Keller for a while. And you know what I've learned are these books right here. These books, Shift and MREA and The One Thing and others. And I've had an opportunity to see them in action. I've learned from all of you about how you have accomplished big things. And I'm just excited that you would choose to be here today. Let's see what some people say. So Gay says she wants to have a plan in action that's going to make 2025 better than this year. You know, so many people have told me that 2024, they're kind of like, see ya, peace out, homie. They're done with it. And I hear you. I want it to be a great year for you too. Tamika says she's looking for systems and a better plan for 2025. You know, so many of you are saying the same thing. Jessica, she says she wants a plan for 2025. We've got Brandon says he's looking for a game plan and consistent work-life balance and flow to see business grow in 2025 and have joy each day. You know, I'll tell you, if you are part of what we're doing inside of Pivot Shift Ahead, you're already on the path to some of those things. So if you're one of the few that's maybe you're seeing us for the first time or hanging out with us for the first time, I just want to remind you, we meet every single morning for a quick mastermind. We do it at 8 o'clock Eastern. 8 o'clock Eastern, right here in Pivot Shift Ahead on Facebook, also on Zoom. And it's really easy to get your link. In fact, I'll put up a thing to help you know where to get the link, because I think it's really important that you know. So it's super, super easy. If you want to join us on our mastermind calls, it's super simple. You go to jamesdshaw.com, jamesdshaw.com, and you click on join our free daily call. They'll send you a Zoom link that you can put in your calendar. We open the Zoom room every morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern. We mastermind and strategize together. We learn plays. We figure out what works. We live stream that starting at 8 o'clock right inside the Pivot Shift Ahead Facebook group. And it's all free to you, just like this call is today. It's all free so that you can figure out strategies that work and help you succeed. So we're going to set it up for you today. I've got a few pieces that I want to be able to walk through, and I encourage you to be super active in the chat so that I can follow along and see what you are interested in and what you want to know. Now, just so you know, as we're doing this live, those of you watching the live stream, there's about a 90-second delay. I don't think it's because the StreamYard's worried I'm going to say something inappropriate. It's just how the internet works. So you might ask a question and it might take me a second to answer it, and I might have to come all the way back. So just roll with me. If you're watching on Facebook, there's about a 30-second delay. So just know that I'm a little bit ahead of whatever you're watching right at the moment, but I'll do my best to come back and answer your questions. But we have a lot to cover. And so let's unpack. You know, this is the time of year, and I saw a lot of people say it. In fact, Annie Rivers is saying it right now. She wants to grow her business, get in momentum, and stay in momentum. Now, the thing about this is that that's where a lot of us are right now. We're in this phase where we're thinking big things about what's ahead. We are dreaming in a really big way. We want to accomplish major things in the upcoming year, and we see the turn of the calendar as a natural time to flip the script. But the truth is you can do that at any time. So I want to walk you through this kind of process of setting a goal. And I learned this from my friend John Acuff. It's a 4-step process. And here's how he sets it up for us. He says there's really 4 things we look at when we want to make things happen. First, we dream. That's where a lot of you are right now. You're in this dream phase right now where you're thinking about, here's how I'm going to be different in 2025. I'm going to make sure that this year is the year that I don't do such and such. This is the year we're going to go on the trip. This is the year that, we're going to sell more homes than we've ever sold. This is the year that I'm going to actually stay in contact with my database and do the things. We're dreaming right now, thinking about vacations, stuff we're going to do with family, all that kind of stuff. Now, once you dream, then you got to get a plan. You got to figure out, okay, well, how am I going to pull out? How am I going to make this happen? How are you going to make this dream come to reality? And you go and you do your plan. And that's a lot of you are in this dreaming and planning phase right now. Then January rolls around and it's time to get after it, get into action, get things rocking and rolling, get things moving. And by the way, you have great momentum for the first couple of weeks, and then maybe things pop off. And then you go into this review phase. But you know what I think is interesting is that's the phase that we all miss, is review. And that's the place we might want to consider being right now, is review. As you think about this, reviewing what your 2024 was like is going to set you up to succeed in 2025. So I'm curious, how are you doing that? How are you doing your review? What is it that you look at? What are the things that you consider? Are you going back and thinking about, where did you shine? Where did you fall short? Because it's really hard to dream and plan without first doing the review, because you don't know where you are. You've set this finish line, but you don't know where you're starting. Not all of us have the same start line. That's true in life. We're all running a different race with a different start line and a different finish line. And until you do your review, you can't possibly dream and plan. So I want to show you some stuff that I think is really interesting about 2024. And I want to give you a historical perspective. I'm curious if you'll put in the chat, how long you've been selling houses? Just put what year you started selling real estate, because I bet a lot of you got licensed 2011 or later. A lot of you have had a ramp up your entire career. In fact, if you go back and look at some of the numbers from what the business was like back in the day, look at these numbers from 2021. There were nearly 6 million transactions in 2021. That's 12 million sides, by the way. 6 million transactions, a buyer and a seller on each. That's 12 million sides, 12 million opportunities for you to be able to work with a buyer or a seller. 2022, you saw the second largest year-over-year decline in the history of our industry. We went from 6 million transactions, 12 million opportunities, to 4.8 million transactions, less than 10 million opportunities. 2023, we saw another decline, 4.1 million transactions. And this year, we're estimating about 3.9 million. The fewest home sales in 20 years. Ooh, does that get you wound up and excited? I mean, this is like, oh, I am so excited to be selling houses in a market where we're going to do the fewest number of transactions in 20-something years, almost 30. But that's all right. Because we have to remember that just because there's less opportunity doesn't mean the opportunity is less. See, I meet people all the time. They freak out when they see these numbers. They see numbers like this. They're like, James, I can't do this. I have to get out of the business. I cannot do this anymore. There's not enough deals. Nobody is selling. In fact, I imagine some of you have had some of those limiting beliefs. Would you put in the chat, what are some of the limiting beliefs you've had? What are the things that you have said about today's market that really probably aren't true? What are the things that have popped in your mind that you now, with a little pause and a little reflection, are recognizing they aren't true? Would you put some limiting beliefs in the chat? Be real honest with me. Let's take a look. Andrew says listings aren't selling. Listings aren't selling. And I could see that we'd say that because, shoot, it's taken longer to sell a house now. But truth is, homes are still selling. Here's one. It's slow out there. It is slow. Things are moving a little bit slower. Mary says buyers aren't buying. But you know what? I logged into my MLS this morning and there were closings. Number never goes to zero. Look, we got another one. Nobody is buying. Here's another one. Nobody is buying. Isn't this fascinating? Interesting. Mm, mm, mm. Oh, I'm looking at all these limiting beliefs in the chat. We go from nobody is buying to nothing is selling. Truth is, though, if you go pull up your MLS, number's never zero. Here's another one. No one's buying with this interest rate. There's opportunity out there. You just have to go find it. Remember, there will be almost, 8 million signs this year. And what's your goal? 36? Go find it. But you have to be willing to do the right things to be able to pull it off. And that's why before you can dream and plan, you have to review. So let me walk you through some strategies on how to review. And the first strategy I want to teach you comes straight out of the Shift book. Now, I was very blessed and fortunate in my real estate journey. When I joined Keller Williams, in the summer of 2005. We were in the heat of the market. I joined on one of the top selling teams as a buyer agent on one of the top selling teams in all of Keller Williams. We were actually the number one team in KW in 2006. We did 444 units that year, $93 million in sales volume, $2.3 million in commissions. I was honored and blessed to be on that team outside Chicago and Northwest Indiana. And I saw what it was like, what it took to be able to have a big business. Then I wanted to get into leadership. And in 2009, I had an opportunity to become a team leader in Cary, North Carolina. We had 110 agents when I started as team leader in Cary, North Carolina. And 60 days later, we had 89 agents because the market had shifted and some of the people weren't doing all the right things they needed to do to succeed. And they had to get out of the business. They weren't leaving to go to a competitor. They were getting out of the business because they weren't doing the strategies they needed to do and the activities they needed to do to succeed. And the truth was, we didn't have some of the tools we have today. This book came out in the fall of 2009 while I was a team leader, Shift. And I adopted it. This is my original copy. I adopted it. I put it under my pillow at night to sleep on it and learn about it. And we taught this every day to our people. And that, along with bringing Bold in, Bold came out in 2009 as well. That allowed us to have the best fourth quarter our office had ever seen up to its history, even though the market was declining. And our market center went from number 12 in the local board of realtors to number 3. It went from number 3 in the town of Cary, North Carolina, to the number 1 real estate office in the entire city. How? By applying strategies that work. Here's the first one. This is a strategy from Shift that I want you to think about right now. Now, some of you might have already done this because I mentioned it on a Pivot Shift Ahead call a while back. But you need to think about, where's the business coming from? This comes straight out of Shift. It's on page number 55, by the way, where Gary and Jay and Dave walk through knowing where is your business coming from. See, there are transactions. While the perception might be nobody is buying or selling, the number isn't zero. Go log into your MLS and it's not zero. Someone had a closing today, just maybe it wasn't you. Someone took a listing today, but maybe it wasn't you. Someone put something under contract today, but maybe it wasn't you. And that might be because you aren't necessarily purposeful in building up the leads from the right place. So Shift, page 55. Gary and Jay and Dave tell us to do this exercise. And I would recommend that you go do it right now. If you've already done it, you can share your takeaways from doing it in the chat right now. But what Gary and Jay and Dave teach us in Shift is stop doing what doesn't work. In a market like this, you've got to focus on strategies that work. He says you start by realizing that time and money are really the two basic tools you have to generate leads. So you must absolutely stop spending money or time on lead generation activities that aren't working. Your goals haven't changed. You know what your annual income goal is and the number of sales you must close to hit it. What has changed is the number of appointments you're going on and the number of leads it takes to get those appointments. The question you're going to answer is this: what am I doing or spending money on that is no longer effective since the market has shifted? You can only know this by associating your valid leads and your valid lead sources with closed sales. So here's the chart you see on the screen, comes straight out of Shift, page 55. Is what I'd recommend you do is you go back and you look at all your closings that you had in 2024, and you just list what were the sources. Just list them all and be specific. Get as narrow as you possibly can. Like, don't put sphere. I want to know, like I see a lot of that right now, sphere and referral and stuff like that. No. I want to know specifically, what was it that caused that sphere person to reach out to you? Did they come to your event and that's what connected you with them? Was it because you were doing your database calls and checking in that allowed you to earn the business? Get extremely narrow and make a list. And then prioritize the list. In other words, put the highest ranking one at the top, the lowest ranking one at the bottom. And then take those top 5 and double down on those. Here's a great example. If you look at the list, you see this person got 5 leads from their open house. Look under the third column, number 5, open houses, and in parentheses it says 5. That's 5 closings they got from an open house. It's in their top 5 out of 10 sources. And so that person should double down on open houses. They got 5 closings from open houses. If that is working for them, they should double down. So if they're doing 1 open house a month, they got to go to 2. If they're doing 2 open houses a month, they've got to go to 4. See, the whole purpose of this exercise is for you to figure out, where are the leads coming from? As narrow as you can possibly get, so you know where to double down. Like here, look at this right here. This person says they got 3 deals from volunteering at the hospital. Now, I don't know how many days. First of all, thank you for doing that. That's awesome. I know the hospital appreciates your support. And congratulations for taking something you're passionate about and turning it into business. And then I'd ask, how often do you volunteer? You volunteer 4 hours a week? Make it 8. Double down on the strategies that are working for you so that you can get the same amount of business. That's the key. You know, when we say that just because there's less opportunity doesn't mean the opportunity is less, what we're not saying is you don't have to work harder. You might have to put in more effort and more energy to get the same thing you had to in years past. Like, the reason why you would double down on your open houses, if that was in your top strategies, is not to necessarily sell more homes, but to sell the same. Because when a market changes, the activity changes. It's like you're driving down the road and you're on your way to wherever you're going. I got to go pick up my 13-year-old from school later today. And when I drive down to the school, if the road's closed, I just don't go, well, guess I'm not going to be able to pick her up today, Naomi. Hopefully they got a sleeping bag and they left some food in the cafeteria floor for you to eat, and I'll try again tomorrow. I got to go find another way. I got to drive, make a circle, find a detour, but I still have to get there. Don't stop. Figure out a strategy that works. And what that requires you to do, by the way, is to answer 2 questions. Here's the 2 questions I'd like you to answer. Is, first of all, oh, this is so fun. I still have stuff on the screen. I have to get this off the screen. Let me do this and let me do this. There we go. All right. So I want you to answer these 2 questions. What am I currently doing that if I stopped doing would have no impact on my results? What can I stop doing? What am I doing that if I stop doing will have no impact on my results? And I want you to think about that. Think about, is there a lead generation strategy that you've been working and yet you haven't really gotten any leads from it? Or is there something you've been buying, but yet it hasn't worked out for you? Stop doing it. Put in the chat, what are the things that you've been doing that probably aren't working? And I love this. Like Amiko's saying, look, I've been sending out postcards, but I'm inconsistent, so I might as well keep that money. I might as well keep that money and stop doing it. That's a great answer, right? Another one saying sending out postcards. Jordan saying open houses are not working for Jordan. Well, then stop doing them. Vicky says, I need to stop cold calling because, whoops. Hold on. Where'd it go? This is so exciting. There it is. Vicky says, I need to stop cold calling. I'm better belly to belly. Well, then let's get in front of people. And that leads to the next question. What am I not doing that if I started doing would have a dramatic impact on my business? Now, be specific and narrow. Like, I don't want you to say, well, I need to lead generate. Well, I know that. And you know that. So why do we keep talking about that? Why do we keep saying, I got to lead generate? Well, of course you do. But that's too broad. Let's narrow it and figure out, well, what specific lead generation strategy should we be using? What is it that, you know what, you've gotten some great results, but maybe you haven't done it at the level that you could. I have agents tell me all the time, oh, I did blah, blah, blah once and it worked really well. And I go, that's great. Have you done it since? Well, no. So I want you to think about, like, here's Tamika. We had people say, I need to stop doing open houses. Tamika says I need to do more of them. Because Tamika's getting leads from the open house. But again, we cannot work on our plan until we have done the review of where we are today. You know, I want you to put in the chat, what's a takeaway from this piece of it? This making sure that we do our planning and our reviewing. What's the takeaway for you? Put it in the chat, because we've got to review for the year before we can plan for the next. So we're going to take a look at that right now. And here's what we're going to cover the rest of our time together today, are these three pieces, right? When we talk about goal setting for 2025, we need to determine your lid. Now, this comes from Gene Rivers, and I love Gene, a KW Master Faculty, an OP Market Center owner in North Florida region, and just they've got a team and an overall wonderful human being. And you've got to determine your lid, and I'll teach you Gene's strategy about that in just a minute. Next thing, you have to run your economic model. You've got to kind of figure out, based on your lid and what you want to accomplish, well, then what does the business need to look like? And then the third thing you have to do is then figure out the steps you have to take to reach your goal. And so that's what takes us to this dream piece right now. Like, ultimately, let's dream and think about, what is it we really want to see happen in our world? Like, put some of your 2025 dreams in the chat. Put your dreams for that next year in the chat, so that you know what it is you would like to accomplish next year. Without clarity around that, it's going to be real hard to reach your goals. So we're going to dream now. We're going to dream now, and as I teach you something called the lid. And as I said, this comes from Gene Rivers, and I just, you know, it's such an easy and simple way to look at how to set your financial goals. See, a lot of you, when you dream about the business for the upcoming year, you tell me things like, I want to sell 36 houses. I go, oh, happy day. That is so exciting. How did you come up with 36 houses? And your answer is, well, it's more than I did last year. Put it in the chat. Have you ever set a goal like that the goal was just because it was more than you did last year? Or you might just say, I don't really have a goal. I just want to do better than I did last year. Who set goals like that? Put that in the chat. Have you ever put in a goal that's like, I just want to do better than I did last year. I just want to help as many families as I possibly can. When I was a team leader and I met a brand new agent, every time I meet a brand new agent, I'd say, how much money do you want to make? They'd say $100,000. I said, how'd you come up with that? They said, oh, I've never made $100,000 before. I want to make $100,000. That's not a goal. It's not a dream. It's just a what if. What I want you to do is be able to dream about something that has meaning. Figure out how you can attach meaning to the business so you show up and perform in the best way. And I think Gene Rivers' lid concept does that. Here's what it means. Gene Rivers, oh, there shouldn't be an apostrophe. That's so funny. I made a typo. Sorry, Gene. Gene Rivers' lid concept is these three pieces: lifestyle, investing, and debt. Lifestyle, investing, and debt. And it's pretty simple. You figure out what's your lifestyle cost. Like, that's everything from how much you spend on clothes, where do you go on vacation, is your kid in private school, how often do you go to Starbucks, all those different, what's it cost to run your life? What do you spend on groceries? How much do you donate? What do you tithe? That all goes in lifestyle. What's your vacation going to be? Like, you go and you sit and you figure out what's your lifestyle cost. Put in the chat, what are some lifestyle things that you can think of? Like where is it that you go and you figure out for me, for example, we got a fun little local coffee shop down the street called Cafe Vino Tinto. I love that place. And what you do is I go down there as much as I possibly can because I love supporting them. So I need to put how much money I spend at Cafe Vino Tinto in my lifestyle. Kelsey says this is good. Hold on. Kelsey says her fitness classes. Like, if you belong to the gym, that goes in there. All right. Concerts. Yeah, that's really good. That's part of your lifestyle. You want to go to concerts? Put it in the lifestyle. Lisa says vacations. Oh, Mike, how often do you DoorDash? Right? Yeah, put that in there. Like, it's not the fact that DoorDash is so expensive and you shouldn't do it. You can do it if you can afford it. That's fine with me. I have no problems. KW Clinton says it's all about the hobbies. Right? Let's see if there's some other ones. Yeah, Lisa's with me. She's all about the coffees. Right? Katie, letting my 3 kids play travel hockey. We have our neighbors. They have a son who plays travel hockey. That is expensive. My daughter is in competitive dance. That is expensive. But I got to be able, that's got to go in my lid, right? Dinner's out. Yep. Child care. I mean, you get it. These are all great ideas, right? So you figure out your lifestyle and you figure out what that costs you every month, and you put that together and you get your annual cost, right? Then the next one is, how much investing are you going to do? What's your investing plan? You doing a SEP IRA? You buy an investment property? You investing in the stock market? What's your investing going to look like? And then finally, debt. You got to figure out your debt. Now, some of you, by the way, put in the chat, what is your largest debt obligation every single year? What is the biggest debt piece that you face every single year? Now, I noticed when we were talking about lifestyle, some of you were putting things like car payments, mortgages, and stuff like that in there under lifestyle. It is not a lifestyle. That is debt, right? That's debt, not lifestyle. And then your largest debt obligation every year, yep, Sophie's got it right, is your taxes. Your taxes, yep, see, Linda's got it right too. Taxes, a bunch of you got it right, and I'm so proud of you. You've got to figure out, Leslie's got it, yeah, taxes. That's your largest debt obligation. So Vicky's got it. I mean, look, I'm so proud of you. David, yeah, that's your largest debt obligation. So figure out, put those things together. What you do is you take your lifestyle, figure out what your lifestyle costs you. This is so good from Gene. And he and I are going to do some more about this that we'll share with you next week in Pivot. But you get your lifestyle stuff together, you get your investing plan together, and then you get all your debt obligation together and you add it up. And then what that will tell you is that is your lid. That's your lid. That's what you've got to bring out of the business. That's what you have to bring home from the business so you can pay for your life, pay for your investing, and pay for your debt. Now, this can be a really interesting piece for some people. So what we did is we made a spreadsheet. We made a lid spreadsheet where it has all the different categories, and you can go in and type them all in, and it'll spit out and tell you what your lid is. Now, this is an Inspire Collective exclusive, this particular spreadsheet. So this spreadsheet we made and is available to members of the Inspire Collective. The Inspire Collective is our private mastermind community. See, in addition into running Pivot Shift Ahead, I also have a private mastermind community called the Inspire Collective. And we've got many Inspire members on here. If you want to share anything about how Inspire has helped you in the chat, you're welcome to do so. And anyone who wants more information about what we do inside the Inspire Collective, again, that's a paid private mastermind. You can go to my website, which is jamesdshaw.com. It's right there on the screen, jamesdshaw.com. We'll give you more information about the Inspire Collective. And what we attempt to do is go deeper on the strategies that we talk about here inside of Pivot Shift Ahead, is to be able to take these concepts that we learn and just make them easier for you to implement, give you the playbooks you need, the tools you need, the systems you need, and stuff like that. And this lid spreadsheet is an example of something that we offer you inside the Inspire Collective just to make it easier. And you can see the ideas on the screen of of some of the things where you just go in and you type it in and boom, you figure it out. Now, here's the thing about the lid. I want you to think about the lid is that this is the amount of money you need to bring home from the business. And sometimes people say, but James, I understand that, but what if I've got other income sources that come in? Like I did my lid exercise, but I've got a spouse who works and makes money, or I've got other income streams that come into my world. What do I do? And I say, well, here's what I would do. I would take your lid and then I would subtract out any other income sources that you have, like your spouse's income or something like that. Because what ultimately we want to get to is how much do you need to bring home from the business? That's the goal that we're reaching, is to figure that part of it out. Now, once you've done the lid, here's what's great about the lid. The lid now has meaning attached to it. Hey, I want to go on these trips, send my kid to this school, put my kid in dance. I want to be able to put this much money in my SEP IRA and invest in my life insurance. And then third, I'm going to have to pay my taxes and my mortgage is this much. And I've got college savings I want to put away and I want to pay down these credit cards, whatever your stuff is that you figure out. But now the business needs to create this for you. And then you end up with this dollar figure. And then the job of that then is to go put it in a model that we have from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, right? It's right here. You're familiar with the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. And the Millionaire Real Estate Agent has something called the economic model. And what the economic model does is it says, okay, you want to make $200,000? Here's how many appointments you need to go on. See, the challenge that I think some of us have when we do our dreaming and planning is that we look at it kind of in the wrong way. We look at it in the sense that we go, oh, I just want to make X. But there's no meaning to it. Well, if you do the dreaming with the lid, then when we get into the planning makes sense. The planning is something that now we took the dream and we're taking the dream that we've attached some meaning to and we're putting it in a plan so that it can make sense and we can actually reach our goal. And so that's where we get to the Run Your Economic Model. Now I'm going to show you the economic model that comes straight out of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. It's a spreadsheet. And by the way, I will email this spreadsheet to every single person who's registered. So if you're watching the live stream or registered to watch the live stream, so even if you're watching the recording, but you registered to watch the live stream, I will email you this spreadsheet. This spreadsheet comes from KWU, Keller Williams University. They created it. It's really smart, and I'm going to email it to you. So don't worry about it. And some of you are like, why didn't you send it to me in advance? I wanted the documents in advance. And I go, no, you're going to go play with it while we're on the call, and it's not going to make any sense to you. And so I wanted to do it with you live. So this is the spreadsheet I'm going to send you right here. It's really great. This is the economic model spreadsheet that comes straight out. It's taking all the information from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent and it puts it in this wonderful spreadsheet to tell you what to do. And any of the colors that you see that are shaded are a place where you can go in and put information on your own. All right. And so here's what you do. Let's say you went and did your lid. You did your lid exercise, which, by the way, I love this. Here is the lid spreadsheet right here that I talked about earlier. And we've literally listed everything. And again, Inspire members, you have access to this already. And anyone who joins Inspire, you'll get access to it quickly. Everyone, though, will have access to the MREA economic model. And there's some things that we learned from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent and oh, by the way, I see some of you putting email addresses in the chat. You don't need to put email addresses in the chat. You're already on the list. We'll send it to you. So let's not fill up the chat with email addresses, please, so we can keep it focused on the call. But here's the deal. Let's walk through the economic model very quickly. All right. Economic model says, all right, I want to net this amount of income. What does my business need to look like? Now, for fun, let's just say you wanted to make $200,000. That was your goal. And when you saw me type this in, you saw a bunch of stuff happen. Don't worry about it. I'm going to walk through part of it with you, but don't get too wound up. Here is what the economic model from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent teaches us. It says, hey, if you want to net this amount of business, which think of your net income and your lid as the same thing. Net income, I'm going to type it in the chat, and lid are the same. Net income and lid are the same thing. So you go and you're like, hey, I want to make $200,000 because your lid told you that to live the lifestyle you want, do the investing you want, and pay your taxes and your other debts, you needed to bring $200,000 home from the business. Now, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent model makes some assumptions. And let me just be real honest with you. Everybody look at your screen. Look at your screen. Look at your screen. Most of those assumptions are not true for you. The MREA economic model is going to make some assumptions that probably aren't true for you. Let me show you. It's going to assume that in order to net $200,000, you're going to have $150,000 in expenses and another $150,000 in cost of sale. You won't, for most of you. Your expenses and cost of sale will not be that high. Your expenses and cost of sale will not be that high. It'll be lower than that. Now, real quick, Barbara just asked in the chat, does lid include taxes? Y'all listen to me. Look in your screen. Your biggest debt every year, which is what D stands for, is your taxes. So yes, it does. Let's go back to the model. So you've done your lid. You figured it out. You go, I want to make $200,000. The model is going to assume that to net 200, you got to gross 5. That is not true for most of you. It's not true. Let me walk you through it. Think of your business expenses. This is what goes here because we've now moved from personal to business. Lid is personal. Economic model is business. And let's just say you're spending $2,000 a month in expenses right now to run your business. That's $24,000 a year. So I'm going to put that in. Expenses are things like your signs, your MLS fee, your license, the gas you put in your car. You know, there's a whole list of expenses in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent that you can figure out. You know, flyers for your open houses, photography, the balloons you put up at your open houses, the food you bring, your marketing for your listings. Yeah, Holly, you're right. All the different stuff you use, spend on the business, that's an expense. And then let's just say for fun that your cost of sale is $21,000. Now, cost of sale is very simple. It's only 3 things. Cost of sale is only 3 things. And this is a common thing that people get wrong. So I want you to understand this. Cost of sale is only 3 things. Your split with your office, we would call that company dollar in Keller Williams terms. The company dollar or your cap to your office is a cost of sale. Your royalty that you pay. If you're with Keller Williams, you've got a $3,000 royalty that you pay. That's a cost of sale. And any referrals that you pay out, whether that be to an agent in another town or a buyer agent or listing agent on your team. Those are your only cost of sale. Your VA is not a cost of sale. Your VA is an expense. Anybody who works for you and you pay is an expense. So, Kendra, I just defined cost of sale for you. That is your company dollar you pay your office, your royalty you pay, and any referral. That is a cost of sale. Angel says, are business expenses separated out on the lid spreadsheet? No, you don't put any business expenses on the lid spreadsheet, only personal. No business expenses. A TC, Brittany wants to know about a TC. A TC is an expense. A TC is an expense. Referral fees are cost of sale. A lead platform is an expense. How do you predict referral fees, Jenny? Go back and look at your history. Go see what is it that you spend in referrals and guess. So these are all great questions. If it's a per transaction for a TC, it is an expense. Dennis, a buyer agent, is a cost of sale, correct? Team split is a cost of sale. FMLS, I don't know what that means, FMLS, but am I assuming that's your MLS? It is an expense. All right, so you've had good questions. Car expenses paid by an LLC. Are they a business expense? I don't know. Ask your accountant. But that's how it works. So just now that you get this, just roll. And by the way, if you need clarity, if this is something that's confusing to you, go to your team leader, your productivity coach, or your MCA in your office, and they'll break it down a little bit further for you. All right, let's go back into the spreadsheet. So you figured this out. You said, hey, my lid tells me I need to make $200,000. My expenses to run the business, not personal, business expenses, are $24,000. I'm making this up. And my cost of sale is $21,000. Then this says you need to gross $245,000 out of your business. In other words, you look at your GCI that your office celebrates, it should be $245,000. So then you got to figure out how many homes is that. So you go and you look and you're, all right, what did I make per deal last year? What did I make per deal? And let's say you made $7,500 per transaction. I'm just making this up. I have no idea what you made. This is just a hypothetical that I'm using just to help do the math. So I don't know what your math was, but you go figure it out. And it's saying it's $7,500. Then look what it'll tell you right here. It'll say you need to sell 33 homes. You need to sell 33 homes. Easy peasy. Go sell 33. Now it's not a number you made up. Now it's a real legitimate number that makes a lot of sense. You know your goal is 33 transactions. It means something. All right, I want to pause and take a time out because there are definitely some questions. So I want to make sure we clear it up. Why is an agent referral a cost of sale if it is tied to a transaction? Kathy, because cost of sales are tied to transactions. Those are you have to pay that referral in order for you to get paid. So it's tied. Lee says that $7,500 example, is that a gross or net? That's a gross. GCI. What does it say on the settlement statement is the commission to the broker? That's what goes there. That's a great question. Is the average commission gross or net? It's gross. I've answered that. Let's see. Let's go back. Is our broker portion of commission a cost of sale? Yes. That's your split, your company dollar, whatever you want to call it. All right. Let's see if there's any other questions I want to answer. So our lid is how much the business should be paying us as a salary, basically. Sure. If you want to look at it that way, it's how much do you want to net and take home out of the business before you've paid your taxes. Let's see if there's any other questions I need to answer. This spreadsheet is awesome sauce. Again, Jenny, I think I've answered this, but your average commission is the total gross commission. Total gross commission. All right, I don't see anything else. All right, perfect. I pay myself a salary each month, and I'm having a hard time wrapping around how that impacts my lid. All right, Tony, that's a good question. Let me answer that for you. If you pay yourself a salary, just like I do, I pay myself a salary. What I do is figure out what your salary is. Say you pay yourself $100,000 a year. So just put that aside. You go and do your lid, and your lid tells you you need $200,000 to live your lid, right? To live the lifestyle you want, do the investing you want, and pay off your debt. Then what I do is I get that 200, I'd subtract out the salary that you pay yourself from the business, and then that's what you need to net from the business. Hope that makes sense. Then your salary goes back in, right? It would end up going back in this spreadsheet as an expense. We're going really deep there. You can always reach out to me if you have a question and let me know. All right, let's get back after it. So 33 units becomes our goal here. And again, I'm going to send you this spreadsheet so you can play with it and have fun. And now we get into what do we need to do buyer and seller side. First question is you have to decide how much of your business is going to be sellers and how much is going to be buyers. For ease of implementation, we're just saying you're going to split the business 50-50. Split the business 50-50. So if you're going to do 32.7, let's call it 33 transactions, always round up, you need 17 buyers and 17 sellers. We're going to round up here for fun, but it says 16.3, 16.3, but again, we're going to round up. Say it's 17. Now let's just focus on the listing side very quickly. And you go look at this listing side and you're like, all right, 33 transactions because I need to gross 245 so I can net 200,000 because my lid is 200,000. I need 17 sellers sold. I need to sell 17 listings this year. Boom, got it, all over it. Let's make it happen, friends. Well, how many listings do I need to take? Well, the model says you have a 70% conversion rate from listing taken to listing sold. That's the model. Your conversion may be different. And what you need to do is just go look. Go look, how many listings did you take last year and how many of them sold, and figure out what your conversion rate is. But the model is going to guess 70%. But you can adjust that. Look, I can go in this spot and I can change it to 60%, and it'll change the amount of listings I need to take. But the model is 70. So if you need to sell 16.3, let's call it 17. Well, you need to take 23.3, or let's call it 24. Then the next thing you need to know, what's my conversion rate from listing appointment to listing taken? And I'll tell you, if your conversion rate's 100%, you're not going on enough appointments, right? But you want to know, what's my conversion rate from listing appointment to listing taken? And the Millionaire Real Estate Agent model says it's 75%. But you go look at yours. I don't know what yours is. Go look it up. But here's what it says then. If you want to sell 33 homes, you need to take 17 listings. 17 listings means you need to go on 24 appointments. You need to take 23 listings, right? You got to sell 16. You need to take 23. You need to go on 31/32 appointments. And then it says that's 2.5 appointments a month. Let's call it 3. 2.5 appointments a month. And then it does the same thing on the buyer side. I'm going to do 32, 33 units. I need to take 16 to 17 buyers. I need to get 23 to 24 of them to sign a buyer agency agreement. And I need about 33 to 34 appointments. 3 a month, give or take. 3 a month. It's pretty simple. And now you get to wake up every day and go run your play. Now the model has told you what to do. Now you have to make the decision to do it. And I love right here where did it go? Where Mike is going. Because Mike asked the question, well, what about next level? How many contacts or calls or email or text are needed based on KW averages to get those appointments? That's a great question. The answer is 100, give or take. If you figure it's about 100 contacts to a closing, and we'll cover some of that here in just a minute, but if you figure that, yeah, it's going to be roughly that amount, I think it'd be in good shape. So I'll put this back up, and I want you to take a second. It's a lot to unpack. This is recorded. You can go back and watch it. And also your team leader, whomever, can explain it to you. But what's your lesson? What's your takeaway from this? What's the aha you've just had? Will you put it in the chat for me? And then know that, by the way, this has other models attached to it that I'm not going to cover today. There's a budget model as part of this spreadsheet as well, where you can track in income and expenses. There's a full chart of accounts, and it will give you a summary P&L if you want that. So it's all available. And again, I will include this spreadsheet for you in the recording when we send it back out. But I love some of these ahas, right? Okay, this is a real good one. Barb Whitney says, got to know my conversion rate better. Yeah, track that. Patricia says, let's get laser focused to accomplish the goal. I like it, Julie. It's not that difficult. Julie, people tell me that all the time. They go, oh, it's only 3 listing appointments and 3 buyer appointments a month for me to sell 34, 35, 36 houses a year? Yeah, you just got to talk to enough people. You have great ahas, and I love seeing them in the chat, so keep them coming. So then the next thing we got to think about now that we've done that, now we've done our dreaming, and we've done our planning. Now it's time to talk about the doing. And that goes to the question that came up earlier. Well, what is it that I have to do? And I think that we have to recognize that we have some challenges when it comes to this business, that we're easily distracted. It can be hard to stay on the path. I mean, put it in the chat. Have you ever had great momentum and then boom, lost it all? And what is it that tends to distract you? What is it that takes you away from doing the main thing? Because we know the main thing in the business, like if you want to hit the numbers in this spreadsheet right here, you're going to have to lead generate. And you're going to have to lead generate probably at a higher level than you've had to lead generate in the past. So what is it that keeps you from doing it? I think part of it is we get distracted by transactions, by business. We get distracted by, we got something under contract and we go put all this effort in dealing with our new listing or something under contract, that we take our eye off the prize. And that's where Gary teaches us, I think, this piece from Shift. Let me show it to you right now. There it is how when we have an inconsistent approach to our lead generation, we get inconsistent results. Because it's everything's busy and then I have nothing, and then everything's busy and then I have nothing. And the thing I want you to think about today is that once you've set the goal, and you set the goal with meaning by using Gene Rivers' LID system. You set the goal with meaning and it tells you, here's what I want to take from the business. You go put it in the economic model, and the economic model doesn't have any judgment. It's not making decisions about your LID. You made the decisions about the LID. What the economic model is doing is saying, you said you want this, you need to do this. And you can't argue with that. That is the path. You have to follow that path. You don't really have a choice. If you don't like the path, like if you don't like what this spreadsheet tells you, if this spreadsheet spits out and you go, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to have 6 appointments every month. Then you need to change the LID. You'll have to lower the LID to equal the number of appointments that you're willing to go on. That's your only option. But what we want to do is make sure that we are getting consistent in our activities, which is why, by the way, I had you think about this slide, which is, where is the business coming from? I have to find it now. There it is right here. This one. Nope, that's not it. Oh, this is so exciting. This one right here. That's why I had you do this slide, to figure out where the business is coming from. Because if we're going to go and get consistent in our lead generation effort, we've got to know where to be consistent. We've got to get focused on doing the right things. Now, the challenge is, you can, Jim, improve your conversion rate. It always takes a long time. It takes longer than you want. One day on a pivot call, I drew this. See, you notice it's the same thing. It's basically the same slide as what you see here. This is straight out of Shift, page like 80 or 90, page 80. It's the same thing, except I have one little difference. Do you see those orange X's? You'll see those orange X's at the bottom? That's the amount of time where you're doing a lot more work than you're getting result. Yeah, we did Sophie, we made a t-shirt out of this one time. This is where you're doing a lot more work than you're seeing any result. Go back and look. See the bottom here, look at the bottom graph here. It implies that the moment you do the work, you immediately get result. But that's not how it works. See all those little orange X's? That's where you're doing a lot more work than you're getting any result. And that's where you have to have faith in the process, that the process is taking you down the right path. That's what we teach every day inside of Pivot and Inspire, is process. See, the reason why most of you don't reach your goals is you're either A, not following the right process, or B, you're not sticking with it long enough. My friend Brad Stulberg wrote a book. The book is called The Practice of Groundedness. I love this book. I talk about it all the time. It's one of my favorites. And on page number 107 of The Practice of Groundedness, Brad breaks down how to make sure you hit your goal. And what he says is we need to have what we call a process mindset. See, you went through and did all the dreaming and the planning, but then we have to get into the doing. And the doing is a process. And so I'm going to give you his steps to having a process mindset. And you may choose to write these down. I don't know if you're going to write them down or not. It's up to you. But he says, first thing you have to do is set a goal. Well, we did that. When you did your LID, and then you did your economic model spreadsheet, right? You set a goal. And in here, the goal says, I need to sell 33 homes. I need to sell 33 homes so I can net $200,000. So you set the goal. That's step one. Good for you. Now, the next thing you have to do is figure out the steps required to reach the goal. That's this right here. What are the things I have to do every day? How do I have to show up consistently in a way that's going to allow me to reach the goal, right? So step 1 is set a goal. Step 2 is figure out the steps required to reach the goal. Step 3, I love this one. Forget about the goal and focus on the steps. Just get the goal out of your mind. Quit thinking about the $200,000 or the 33 transactions, and instead ask, what do I have to do? What's my daily play? What's my plan? So step 1, set a goal. Step 2, figure out the steps required to reach the goal. Step 3, forget about the goal and focus on the steps. And step 4, he says this: if you catch yourself obsessing about the goal, use that as a cue and ask yourself, what should I be doing right now to help me achieve it? What should I be doing right now to help me achieve it? See, if you're behind goal right now, ask yourself, what should I be doing then right now? It's probably get off my call and go lead generate and watch the recording later while you're making dinner. But go figure out what are the steps. The challenge we have is that we haven't often figured out the steps. And so something we've adopted inside the Inspire Collective. Remember, Inspire is my private mastermind. If that's something you're interested in, many of you are members. If that's something, though, you are interested in, you go to jamesdshaw.com and you can enroll in that. It's a monthly fee, and I'll cover at the end of the call a little bit about what we do in there. But we introduced something in Inspire this year. We do a challenge every quarter to help create some momentum for our members. We've got about 1,200 members who participate in this. And if you're a member and you want to put in the chat about how being part of the Inspire Collective and specifically how our challenges that we do each quarter have helped you, put that in the chat. Be specific about how the challenges have helped you. But we introduced something in our Fall Forward challenge. We called it Fall Forward, and we did it, in the fall, because that's when you do a Fall Forward challenge. And we did something. We created this activity list that came from our friend Brittany McAllister, who's an agent in Omaha, Nebraska, where she kind of developed this process mindset. And what you see on this, it's kind of blurred out, but what you see on it is we assigned point values to specific activities. So that, if you called your database and made so many database calls, you got 5 points for that. If you knocked on 10 doors, you got 3 points for that. If you called 5 for sale by owners and expired, you got 5 points for that. I'm just making this up right now. But that the goal every day was to accumulate 30 points. And that just at the end of every day, if you could get 30 points, you knew you were focused on process. And that's where I want you to get. I want you to set the goals. The goals are important. I want you to dream. And then I want you to plan. But specifically, I want you to do. And to get you into a process mindset, we came up with this idea, thanks to Brittany McAllister, to help you just get 30 points every single day. And we created this tracker to help you do it that listed out all the points. And we did a whole week-long series on how to implement this stuff. We did playbooks to help you figure out what are great strategies to use to reach the database and stuff like that. And again, if you're into that sort of thing, go to jamesdshaw.com. Enroll in the Inspire Collective. It's $99 a month. Enroll in that, and you'll have access to it right away. And get in, though, to a process mindset. And here's what I found. And some of you that did this, put your takeaways in the chat about it. But what I found was some people went from basically doing no activity to they would do some, and they might get 12 points. Now, that wasn't the goal. The goal was 30, but it was still some momentum. And that's ultimately what we're looking for. Right? What we're looking for is momentum. What this piece is sharing with you is create some momentum. That's the teal line there that's above all the orange X's with the big arrow pointing to it. Create some momentum and then allow for growth to come. Allow for the growth to come. But we've got to get into a process mindset. In other words, asking, where did I win today? Like, my goal is 33. Because your spreadsheet told you your goal was 33, because you told your lid spreadsheet you wanted to make $200,000. And so then you go, all right, but what do I have? How do I know if I'm on track? Well, we came up with this concept of 30 points and assigned all these things to it. And we literally have our Inspire members, many of them are printing out that little tracker. We also created an Excel spreadsheet version of it too, if they want to track it, and just going, let me get 30 points as many days as I can. I think that we have to remember that we're never going to be perfect. I can't see if anyone is getting 30 points 5 days a week, you're lying about your activities. I don't see anyone who's doing that. And the goal is not to be perfect. In Finnish, my friend John Acuff says it's the day after perfect that is the make or break day. Like if you get 30 points one day, 30 the next, but the next day just got away from you and you got 0, well, then the day after that, at least get 10, 12, 13, 14 points. Get on the path of activity. That's the point. Get into this process mindset. I think we beat ourselves up too much sometimes of well, I just, you know what, I haven't called my database this long. What's the point now? That's not how it works. Anna Kruger, MAPS coach, taught me that it's 100 contacts to a closing. That's another way to look at it too. If you don't like the point system, just do 100 contacts to a closing. You want to do 33 transactions, that's 3,300 contacts. And then you could break the math down. It comes down roughly to 14 a day, 12 to 14 contacts a day, 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year. That would get you on the path to 30-something transactions a year. But you've got to kind of be in that average. I got to be in this 12 to 14 contacts per day. Don't care how you do them. You can call, text, door knock, do open houses. Doesn't matter to me. You pick your strategy. You get to pick. There's no one strategy that works. Anyone who goes around and sells you their strategy is selling you a strategy that worked for them, not a strategy that works for you. You have to do this exercise to know what strategy that works for you. In order for you to make smart decisions about what strategies you must implement in the business, you have to know where the leads are coming from. You associate those leads to closings, and then you figure out, what is it? Where do I need to put my focus? You go figure out how much money you want to make from the business. You go put it in this spreadsheet right here. This spreadsheet says go do 33 deals a year. Boom, you're done. I like to make it as simple as possible. And the only way you can make it simple, I'm just going back to the tracker, is to create a process mindset. To come up with something like our activity list from the Fall Forward Challenge and wake up and run the place. Now, I want to hear some takeaways and ahas before I share a couple of things with you, because there's a lot we didn't unpack. I gave you a free overview today of how to figure out how much money you want to make, right? Dream, plan, do, review. Dreaming is how much money do you want to make. Plan is putting in the economic model from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. The doing is figuring out what are the daily activities you need to do consistently. And then the reviewing is looking back and figuring out, where did the business come from? What am I not doing that if I started doing would have a dramatic impact on my business? What am I currently doing that if I stopped doing would have no impact on my business? We've got to figure out those things. Now, there's so much more we can do. And so that's why we created something called Advanced Digital. Advanced Digital, again, is an exclusive to our Inspire Collective members. It has 19 video lessons, all with agents that are performing at a high level, that break down each of the models in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. I'll show it to you in just a second. It has 16 different playbooks that you have access to. It has 8 different tools and systems and 3 spreadsheets, right? So Inspire members, you have access to that. And I'll show you, if you're not an Inspire member, you can join Inspire and get in. But it's right here. This is our member portal. This is where our Inspire members go in and can access all of our recordings and our tools and our different pieces. And again, I'll just tell you, if you're interested in that, you can go to jamesdshaw.com and you can enroll. But if you look in here, for example, you know, I covered some stuff on the economic model today, but you can go into the portal, and I interviewed Paul Corey about how he is tracking his leads and paying attention to his conversion rates. And then we shared, here's a playbook about how to do it. Then we shared his tracker that I think looks like a Girl Scout cookie order form. And so you can download the tracker and then their daily activity tracker, like it's all right there. I think that's a really important piece. And then we talked to Pam O'Brien about, well, how are you time blocking to show up in a way that allows you to reach those things. And there's a playbook associated with that, right? And then there's other models to the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. We did the lead generation model where we did 6 different strategies to help you add more leads to your pipeline. Micro events with Meg Dady. We did pieces on social media and so on and so forth. And again, each of these have a playbook associated with it, so you know how to do it. And then a lot of them shared, like Meg Dady gave us 101 micro event ideas as part of this. So, this is just so that you have awareness around what's available to you. We did a thing on the budget model about how to get on a P&L and some budget tips, and then organizational model. If you're looking to add leverage to your world, what are some ways you can do that? So if you're into stuff like that, we have it for you inside Advanced Digital, which includes the 19 video lessons, the 16 playbooks, the 8 tools and systems, and the 3 spreadsheets. And members, this is a reminder to you, just like we're telling everybody else, that you have access to all of these tools. Go use them. They're available to you. I want you to go use them and get value from them. All right, we're about done. I want to hear your ahas and your takeaways. So put your ahas and takeaways. And I want to tell you too that Inspire members, I'm really excited about our next challenge, which we kick off January 27th. It's the 2025 Thrive Challenge, January 27th through the 31st of 2025, where we'll take a lot of the concepts we've talked about today and really narrow it down. We'll do this over 5 days, an hour a day for 5 days, to make sure we're filling your pipeline so that your end of Q1 and beginning of Q2 are totally off the charts. Because I think the business is going to look really similar this year to the way it did last. And then just for those of you interested in Inspire, again, we'd love to have you join. We have digital courses like Advanced that I just showed you. We do a weekly mastermind call every Tuesday at noon Eastern, where we have thought leaders, guests. We've had Ryan Holiday on that call, Ben Hardy on that call. We've had top agents on that call. We always do a call with Dr. Lawrence Yoon, the chief economist of NAR. So you can join at jamesdshaw.com. We do at least 40 systems, playbooks, and tools every year for you. We do the challenges, all sorts of stuff. I sent everybody a book this year. It's really fun. So if you're interested in something like that, man, I'd love to see you in there. The link to join is right here, jamesdshaw.com. But let's take your ahas and takeaways. That's the most important part. So let's take it. And here's a good one. Create a process mindset. Process mindset is set a goal, figure out the steps required to reach the goal, forget about the goal and focus on the steps. And then if you ever feel like you're obsessed over the goal, ask, what should I be doing right now? David says, here's an item to implement. Hey, David, what's going on? Good to see you. What activity or activities am I doing right now that if I stop doing would have no impact on your business? Let's get out of doing things that don't work, and then put our focus on doing things that do. Here's a great one. Use MREA and SHIFT, and the one thing I would add, as a way to guide you. The answers are in there. What do I need to start doing? You tell me. This is good. The basics are evergreen. They're the foundation to success. Focus and simplify, and 100%. We make things way too darn complicated. That's it. Friends, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be with us. I hope this was of some value to you. We'll be back tomorrow morning on Pivot Shift Ahead at 7:30 Eastern in the Zoom room, and live on the live stream in Facebook at 8. And we're going to just do ahas from this call. What were your takeaways from this session today? We'll talk about that tomorrow morning. Everyone who's registered on the website, I will email you later today the recording of today's session, along with the economic model spreadsheet that I shared with you earlier on the call. I'll show it to you again. This little spreadsheet right here, there it is. I'll email that to you as well. That comes from Keller Williams University, and it's a great tool to be able to go use. I thank you for being here. If I can ever help you, let me know. You can reach out to me on the website or on my social media. You can find it right there, James D. Shaw, or you'll find me on Instagram. Thank you for your time today. I hope this is of value to you. We'll see you around in Pivot Shift Ahead. Be well, everybody. Bye-bye.